Wait for that intro. Come on. You got it. Hold on. What's going on, everybody? Yeah, I just got chewed out just before we went live, so forgive me and my emotions and my voice is cracking and all that stuff. I sound like a 13-year-old boy going through puberty now, but it's all good. I got my peoples in the building.
Is it all good?
Colors everything. They here with me tonight. Welcome back, brothers. Nice little break. I hope you guys have fun with family, friends, getting back out the house, be able to do the things that we used to do back in the day. Except for a few things, but you know what? Let's dive into it. This is that comic show. We're all about talking about comic book stuff. We're all about talking about the newest things that just came out. Speaking of which, the newest movie, the first movie after the pandemic, came out, Black Widow. You know me, I'm a very, on point type of brother. I like to go see my movies first. This was the movie I didn't go to see yet. Unfortunately, I did not watch. I'm actually watching it tonight. This is something different for me. And I just got chewed out behind the scenes. I'm not going to hide anything from you folks. You folks are tuning in to listen to what's going on. So, initial reaction. Let's talk about initial reaction to the film. Obviously, I can't add to this conversation.
No, he can't.
I will direct it though. I can still direct the conversation a little bit. Can you at least give me that power?
How, sir? What are you going to direct?
You gonna talk about the trailer?
You know what I'm saying? Like, what you? And for those that watched the movie, you know the trailer was like a lit first few minutes. Like, so you got nothing to give us.
Wow,
nothing at all.
Wow. Well, then tell us, what's your initial reaction to this film?
After you, Miller.
Go with me first. All right. So as you guys know, before this movie came out, I was like a little too late kind of thing going. I wasn't really have any expectations for it. I really didn't care for it, to tell you the truth. So after watching the first 5 minutes, I was like, all right, you got me a little interested in it. I'm starting to follow along. Then after about 25, 30 minutes into it, I'm like, oh, I'm here for it. And then I liked the story it told. And at the end of it, I was satisfied with it. I liked the movie as a whole. I still had a couple issues with it, like with every other movie. But with this one, I just wish it came out before Infinity War. I wish it came out maybe 2016, 2017, somewhere between Civil War and Infinity War. It could have been like a perfect in between movie between those two films. Actually,
yeah.
It had a perfect place. And while I put this in this movie in the whole MCU, I don't have it rated as of high, but it's right there in the middle. I thought it was good. Like I said, I thought it was well done. A couple of mistakes here and there, but overall, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'd have to agree that it meets Marvel standards. So, to that, I mean that by saying, what I mean by saying that is, it's a good movie, as I Am Legend said. It's a good movie. Like, it's a solid movie if you were just to watch it as a movie, even just taking out the story quality. It's like, all right, I can follow it. Like, I get the purpose. Putting it within the MCU timeline, it also felt good because you understood some more things. Particularly, there's a place that's mentioned. I don't want to spoil it for somebody on the show, on a comic book show who talks about shows.
Budapest. I'm spoiling it. Budapest.
Wow. I was trying to save you. So it actually gives Budapest context because we've all heard that mentioned multiple times. Going back to Shield, if I remember correctly. So to understand what happened there was fantastic. Like I Am Legend said, there were some things that, like, thinking back now, like, oh yeah, I don't know why that happened, and that's a whole. And some of the twists were worthwhile. I actually appreciate it, considering the context of how movies are being created, and this is definitely a woman forward movie, family forward movie, and I think they did some justice to empowering women and the woman hero, Black Widow here. So yeah, that's my takeaway without getting too much into the very nitty gritty. Again, trying to save the one person on this show
Yeah,
a little bit.
because I really want to ask you what you thought of the twist. I think you know what the twist I'm
Yeah,
talking
so
about.
I what I think is awesome about that twist, that
Yeah.
particular twist, is I think it gives room for us to see another version of that same
Yeah.
individual while honoring how that makes sense. Does that make sense? So like I'm not taking that as being the final iteration of that character.
The thing is, it made perfect sense
Mm-hmm.
when I was watching it, but it's still in me. It was like, damn, I wish they didn't do that. Like a little bit, part of me was like, I wish they didn't do it. But story wise, it made sense on. It made sense.
Yeah, and it fit, and that's why I said I think it's going to be. You'll have that title used again.
Okay.
And we won't be hurt by it because like that person won't want to take up that mantle or that title because
Gotcha.
they don't have the same motivations. But then we'll find someone else who can meet that particular function. So
gotcha.
Yep. So like you, I wasn't like thrilled by it, but I was like, all right, I can see what y'all doing. You ain't necessarily tied to this too much. You okay there, Sams?
All right. I got questions.
You okay?
I got questions. I mean, it's not hurt. Look, all right. Taskmaster.
Mm-hmm.
Where does he rank? Or first off, would you consider him to be a villain? And second off, if he is a villain, where does he rank?
I mean, he was ruthless. Seeing him in the movie was, the scenes that he was in, you definitely were scared because it was like, yo, this ruthless. Like he was absolutely ruthless. In terms of overall villains, I think he was like some of our throwaway villains. No knock. Like he's not a Loki level.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to think who else is a good villain.
Well,
he's maybe a Claw. Would you put him on a Claw level?
Yeah, definitely like a Claw level.
Yeah, he's a Claw level.
Okay.
Well, he probably even lower than that. I don't think he's even that recognized. I think this movie would get a lot of flack for him. Trying to not.
Yeah. I understand.
So I think the movie gave flack for him, but the thing is, he's like a D, maybe C level character in the comics. He's not really that famous. If I ask people what's his real name, people won't even know his real name. So, but they'll make a big issue because of this movie out of it because of the.
And I think that's just people looking to have something for cannon fodder.
Yeah.
What's to me the bigger issue was the catalyst for the movie. So this whole story started because of this incident between widows, right? This thing of the red thing.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Where, why, and how?
Well, they explained it. Oh,
no, they didn't really. They didn't say who created it.
The very beginning of the movie. That's what they stole.
Hold on, maybe I need to go back and rewatch it.
When he said that we got an hour to leave, he said, "Did you get it?" And he put out the card. That was the.
No. I'm talking about the thing that broke that. I know they stole that to control. I'm talking about the red thing that broke that.
Oh, well, that's with the widow from Melina. That's pretty much the mom. That one that got
But she didn't develop it, so I need to know who developed this thing. Like they
you don't need to know that part. Come on, man. That's a little too much. Come on. You don't need to know who developed it. You just need to know that.
There was
some widows that got out. You need to know there were some widows that got out and wanted this.
We are way more critical than that. Okay, let me give something else to Sam that we can talk about that I think is evident.
Okay.
What did you think about the relationship between Yelena and Natasha?
That was the heart of the story. I think actually they gave Yelena the bigger parts, the more character development in it, because I think she's going to pretty much take on that mantle.
Yeah.
Probably not even going to take on the mantle of Black Widow, but she's probably going to be that Black Widowish character going forward. And I heard a couple people say, like at the end of the movie, at the end credits, they was kind of like, "Oh, I wish they don't turn her into a villain and keep her as a good guy." But I loved it. That was pretty much the heart of the movie, the family bonding. I think between them two, it was perfect.
I got a question. I got a question for y'all. With the exception of Avengers, the first Avengers, where I think they called Natasha Black Widow. Did they ever mention that her code name was Black Widow her entire run in the MCU? Because what I'm starting to notice, there's a sense of a pattern with the MCU where the characters that we know from the comics as that character Scarlet Witch, for example, was never called Scarlet Witch until her movie. So I'm asking you guys, is it her movie? Was her movie the definitive, oh, my code name is Black Widow and
No.
I'm the only, or
No, I think that's what this kind of ties into what I Am Legend I'm just saying. I think you understand the term Black Widow and who has the ability to use it. And I think that's why you see the setup with Yelena. And I think the setup is there. Like you can see where, oh, I get it, right? Like now you can use that title and we will understand how and why. And I absolutely think she stole the show. I think I actually like her more than in terms of acting. I legitimately like her more than Scarlet, to be honest with you. I think her character is more dynamic, more fun, and even my favorite part, and I will spoil this for you, just this is his punishment. When she called her out for posing. When she called her out for, what is that? What is the thing that you do? You land and you flip your hair. Like I was dying. Because we all know that's a part of like comic book movies.
Yeah.
You know, this idea of posing. But to call it out is like that makes no function. There's no point in you doing that. Standing there as we all look around, heroically. So
I had one more question about Taskmaster. Now you mentioned something, I Am Legend, that Taskmaster is a C-D type of character in the comics. I like Taskmaster from the comics just because of his ability he can fight someone one time and then boom, he knows how to mimic their abilities. So was that shown in this Taskmaster? Was he able to flawlessly do the people that he fought and mimic that?
Yes, I think what me and Colors Everything is getting at is not an issue with him fighting in any of the action scenes he's in. Dope, like without a doubt, it's dope. I think we was expecting something different, and what we got wasn't that. You still enjoyed him and, like I said, the fight scenes, but it was just there was nothing else with it.
Okay.
It's funny.
I mean, there was something with it, but it's part of the story. I can't spoil it for you, man. I'm sorry, man.
I just read up. It's funny because there are a couple of people in the MCU, and considering the multiverse mashup that I hope we get to for Loki, who have that skill set. Because, for example, Echo, she has that skill set. Whatever she sees, she can do. Yeah. So it's. I think it's or what's about Bullseye doesn't necessarily have that same skill set of I think they call it telemuscular something like something with his muscles, like his muscles remember things. But Bullseye also has that unique aim, right? That anything he just does it. I think we're going to see iterations of Taskmaster come up. I actually firmly believe that we will see Taskmaster again.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I even if the way they did it, this one, if they would have changed some things, mostly I think Color Everything was getting my drift with the suit. If they even just change the suit, it's like,
yeah, I'll give you that.
Like if you change the suit and just make it so it's not, Corey, cover your ears or something.
No, I get you saying. I get the weight.
Not
the
whole manly. If it wasn't manly suit, it's like, all right, come on, what you doing?
Yeah.
Okay, Corey, you can turn it back up.
I can't, just to let y'all know, I can't hear anything because it's on the headphone. So go ahead.
Wait,
go ahead.
Give me 1 second.
I'm like,
why they have to show him like a man though? Like it didn't make no sense.
Wait, hold on. Give me the thumbs up when I can come back on.
Okay, not yet. All
right.
Yeah, like that. The whole reveal when she took off the helmet, and I'm looking at like, yo, your face don't match the body. It doesn't make sense. Like that's the only part I didn't like about.
And I gotta tell you, I think I get why they did it, to throw it off, and the whole theme is that women are unsuspecting, right? Like he said it right. We overlook women; they're the greatest resource, and so I think that was intentional. But I also had the same issue because I was like, it's the robotic nature. I wish they had played more into that. But
I was gonna say maybe if the suit was healing her, or maybe it's like it's not a whole body, or she's like a cyborg or something like that.
It would have
I'll
been nice to have more. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
you see all the other widows in like the tight gear, showing off their feminine features, and this one is just like a manly suit. It's like, nah, it doesn't make sense to me. That's the only part I didn't like.
One last thing for those who, and I would love to hear people talk in the comments. Give us one more. So people talk in the comments. What did you think about this idea that Black Widow can take all these ridiculous hits and keep going? Like, is she John from
superhero? It's a superhero film,
bruh.
When she fell off the building,
son. Yo, and she's walking over like, what? Get out of here!
She went through heavy training. She got some training, got the ab working, and she was able to land.
All right, I'm giving a thumbs up. I ain't dealing with you. I'm not dealing with you. I'm not dealing with you. Oh my goodness, that was ridiculous.
I was being too standish. That was the stand. Yeah.
I was like, yo, how is she? There were so many times where I was like, KO away.
Yeah.
KO away.
But you know what I did like about the you're not spoiling no more, Corey. You good? I did like about the fighting scenes that they do like some type of thing with the camera work where it's kind of like make her go faster than. I'm not too sure how to explain it, but
yeah, it felt visceral. I will say the fight work felt visceral. Yeah. I'm a big fan of visceral fight action. I don't know if you guys watch anime, but there's
of course.
I think for example, the first time Rock Lee fought Gaara.
Yeah.
And you just felt like you felt the weight of hits, and like there would be that pause.
Yeah,
I felt that a little bit. I was like, oh, okay.
That's exactly what's in the film. Yeah, definitely.
All right, you want to talk about Loki now, Sam?
No. I do want to get some more. I still want to pull a little bit more from you guys. So again, Black Widow is technically the first film in the new phase of Marvel, Phase 4 of Marvel. So as a jumping off point, as a starter to this wave of movies that are coming, I mean, I'm already thinking that is not that relevant because you're only talking about things from her past. But do you guys feel that this is relevant for the future?
Only if Yelena becomes, like I said, the new Widow, which it appears that she is.
Okay.
So this is pretty much her origin story.
Okay.
Because you pretty much find out from the very beginning who she is, what she went through, and this was, tell you the truth, like this story is kind of dark. Like even like from the beginning, you're dealing with child trafficking pretty much. Like they show like kids in containers and being moved around. It was
real. It was real.
Okay. It was pretty dark.
And I think it's funny because you watch, and I say funny, and I unless you'll get it. We watched the whole movie and it's great, and it's really it's the end credits that set up Phase 4. If you really think about it, like everything is great on the surface, but it's really those end credits that set up Phase 4. Like, so to me, it's a Phase 4 movie only because of those end credits. And if you take out those end credits, it's just a great story.
Pretty much. Like I said, if it came out in 2016, 2017, I'll probably rate this like around 8.5, like an 8, something high.
That's what I was going to ask next.
But what I'll give it a rating as now is probably a 7, maybe a 6.5. But like I said, everything is there. It's just a little too late with the story. Like we want Phase 4 stuff. Like we dealt with Phase 3, Phase 2. We want Phase 4.
Like I'm honestly I think it did for me, because I agree with I Am Legend in terms of rating and the timeline. It just made my taste buds for like Shang-Chi. Like I'm salivating now because I'm like, okay, all right, let's go. Because like, Marvel has us all spoiled, right? Marvel has us. We were in a place where, again, a movie a year at the very least, some type of movie. And so now that we've gone a whole year without that, seeing Black Widow, all it does is put that droplets back in my mouth. Like, oh, that's what that tastes like. So, Shang-Chi, I think it's gonna be fire. This year we also get Love and Thunder. I think we get this year.
Eternals.
We're getting
Spider-Man.
Eternals, Spider-Man, and
Love
we're getting
next year.
Well, if you want to include Carnage.
Okay, so we're talking about Marvel. We're talking about Marvel stuff. Thank you. Keep it moving.
Thank you.
We also get Hawkeye this year.
At the end of the year, yeah.
And Miss Marvel.
Yeah. And What If?
And the thing is about a Marvel movie, like if you don't particularly like that movie, the end credits will say, "Okay, but we got more." Maybe you like that
We got
one.
you
That's
for the
pretty
next
much.
one. We got you for the next one.
Pretty much.
All right. Fair game. Once again, I'm disappointed in myself for not going to see this and being able to interact in this conversation. I assure you, it will not happen again. You have my word. But let's move on and let's talk about one of the stronger series in. It just seems like these Marvel series on Disney Plus. It just seems like they keep topping each other.
I think that's unfair. That's so unfair of a comment.
It's like no, but think about it. It's like all right. WandaVision came out and we're like, oh, okay, that was dope, fire. Yo, I'm ready for the next one.
I was scared after that. I was like, after WandaVision, like, yo, nothing's gonna top this.
Yeah,
Nothing.
and then boom, Captain America and Winter Soldier. Like, all right, well, that kind of touched me more close to home and everything like that. And then I'm saying, all right, Loki's gonna be talking about his, he took Tesseract and all that stuff. And Loki just totally came in and just, all right, everything that you guys was on, I'm taking it, I'm throwing it out. They started that with the first episode. Yeah, them Infinity Stones. Yeah, that's them in the drawer. I was like, you win. I don't know where we going. Let's go.
The reason I say it's unfair though is because I look at these what Marvel is doing that I think I'm able to take these all as being excellent for who they are is because they're pushing into genre. I read a comment just to tie it in about the homeboy that was in Blade said he felt embarrassed with Scarlet Witch and that she's acting in these Marvel movies. And I've heard this before from actors. And what I find so interesting is how come we don't come for horror movies or zombie movies? Right? Because all Marvel has done is created a genre, and there's a superhero genre for movies. They know that there are people out there, just like there are people who love their horror movies, who love their zombie movies, who love their pure action, or who love their drama. There are now a set of people who have been reading comic books and graphic novels and collecting action figures that are clamoring for this. I say that because Marvel twisted it just a little bit. So instead of just keeping it a comic book movie or a superhero genre, it's a superhero spy film, superhero fantasy, superhero sitcom. And so even within this umbrella, they're finding ways to carve out pockets where you're like, yo, I can't even take you. Like, for example, Black Widow is kind of like, to me, like This Is Us on steroids. Like, if This Is Us was a comic book movie, you know what I'm saying? Like,
wow.
Oh, that's all.
Wow. I was thinking more like the Americans.
Okay, so you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And I think that's why it's hard for me to say they're topping each other. I think they're just finding ways to reinvent or keep this unique and distinct enough. Because as a genre, just like with horror movies, you see them already going back in the bag. You get remakes of Candyman, remakes of all these other things. They're saying, well, how do we keep this fresh enough before having to remake it and having these subgenres?
And Marvel is coming for the horror when they come out with Blade. They come for the horror.
I was like, I thought because I know multiverse they were going to try it, but I don't. They'll dabble because they'll make it their own. But I don't know if it'll be.
But you gotta go full. You gotta go full on horror when it comes to Blade. You talking about vampires? You talking about that? You gotta go full on.
But they still have to target that family audience.
True. So I mean, yeah.
This is why, like Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, while they're saying it's gonna be scary, I don't think it's gonna be as scary as we think. Maybe not for us, but for maybe little kids. Because you still got to target that family. Because when they buy it's less about the movie and more about that merchandise afterwards.
That's true.
Man, if they make something scary like The Conjuring, I ain't watching it.
And so, I'll be lost.
Go full horror, man. I can't do it.
I gotta be honest. I'm not a horror film guy, so they made my ticket. But yo, all right. So you started off with Loki.
Loki, yeah.
I want to bridge this because Loki had me. And you guys, I always bring this into our conversations. I love the character arc. Yeah. I think these series allow us to dive into characters, which Jeff Loeb doesn't get credit because I think what he did in those Netflix series was the foundation for that. Oh, yeah. Because when we saw Daredevil, you understood Daredevil as a man in a freaking red suit. And like he was literally just a blind guy in a red suit.
Yep.
When you got Luke Cage, he was a black man living in a contemporary world with powers, etc. So with Loki, I was, that's what. Okay, I get it.
And what makes these shows kind of even better than their Netflix counterparts is they're using the actual movie actors and things of that matter. And as you see that they can come back in films later on. So it makes it better, makes it feel like you kind of have to watch these before you watch the films again. So I'm loving it.
So we didn't get it. So last time I had a conversation, it was with me and Travis, and we were talking about the first 4 episodes, or the first 3 episodes at the time.
Gorgeous.
Of Loki. Now we're up to episode 5. Now, as of right now, let me ask you guys this question because it might be unpopular, but I thought the 3rd episode of Loki, in my opinion, was the weakest, and it was boring.
What was the name of that one?
That's when they're on the planet. That's when they're on the planet.
Yeah, when they're on the planet and they're on the train and all that stuff.
I don't understand why people don't like that one. That's what it is.
I was
loving it.
So I went and I said what I said, and I went back and I watched it again. And I said, you know what? The first time I was so bored by some of the dialogue, it just kind of, because I'm in a rush. I'm like, all right, yo, what are we going to see now? I'm looking around, looking to see if I see little hints of different cosmic beings and all that stuff. And I'm looking for all that. And they're on a train and they're talking about, their past and everything like that. I'm like, all right, that's cool and all, but I want to see everything else.
Oh, but that character dialogue. Oh my gosh. Like,
I had to go back and watch it again. I was like, all right, I get it. But to me, it was still like, I kind of don't need that from Loki.
Oh, you know what? Know what it is, Color? Wait. You know what it is, Color? This is Sam's been doing this for years now. You don't like any romance in superhero films.
That's not true. That's not true.
You hate You hate Miss Potts. you didn't like her for how many years?
Because of Iron Man 3. Because of Iron Man 3.
Was also all right. So let me try to swing your mind.
I
hated Betty and the Hulk. He hates all the romance.
Don't do that. I love Betty and the Hulk. Don't do that.
But the thing is, this wasn't even about the romance. I'm gonna say this. Hopefully, you obviously know if you're watching a comic book show, there's gonna be some spoilers. Do you see the paradox? Is the only way Loki can love is him loving himself?
Yes. I get that.
That's mind blowing because
I get that.
It stays within his character because Loki is ultimately selfish. That's what makes Loki Loki. At the end of the day, he does what is best for him. And the few times it breaks it is just variant. I use that word intentionally. It's just variant enough from his behavior to make you ground him as a character, right? Like the few times when he went against Thanos, like it touched you, right? Because it's like, yo, you just killed my peoples, man. I can't go out like that. Like I really can't be. So it grounds you. But here the show says, but at the end of the day, what is a Loki?
Loki's gonna Loki.
Loki's gonna focus on himself. And in this, he gets to do that in a different way, but still meets the character. And I was like, beautiful.
I appreciate that. But me, you know what? I'm just like, I understood that about Loki. Like I've understood Loki from the time of him being in those Thor films. He's selfish. He's always looking for himself. He's always looking to see how he can get ahead.
But that's actually not it. So here's the spin. Let me throw this out there. See, so maybe I Am Legend can back me up. Here's the real thing about this show.
Oh, here we go.
Loki desires control, right? That speech from Avengers 1.
Yes.
What happens when Loki sees what control really looks like?
Oh, he loses all hope. He's shattered. He's broken.
And it makes him wonder, what's my purpose, right? Because I have been desiring control, and this is what actually control looks like. In fact, I have been about that control. And so I think we're getting set up for the true god of mischief and chaos. And if you're just looking for the action and extravagant, you miss the subtle layout of we're going to probably get the craziest Loki we've ever seen. Well, because he had to be broken down.
I think what Corey and everybody else who didn't like episode 3 was not because, like I said, episode 3 has like probably the most action scenes, probably the biggest budget we've seen, maybe except for the last.
For the last 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, but I think it didn't open the curtain wide enough for us. Like we didn't see anything new. We didn't find out what's going on with the TVA. We didn't find out nothing.
But the curtain was in the Loki. It was in Sylvie. It was in that's where the curtain was.
I caught it, but other people, they little.
It's not like listen, Rob. It's not like people didn't catch it. It's not like I didn't catch it.
They didn't really
hearing
care
their
for it.
dialogue. It's just that I wasn't too interested in it, to be honest with you.
But
It just didn't grab me.
But it sets up the context for episode 5. I guess where I hear that. So my personal vexation, right? This is no knock, just the personal pet peeve.
Right.
Yeah. It's the moments like these that you miss out in big movies. Mm-hmm. That when the character does the thing in the big movie and we're excited about it, we don't understand the why. I love getting the why. Gotcha. Like I understand why Loki does what he does or doesn't do what he will do because of dialogues that happen on the train. I think overlooking it is taken away from the things that make it awesome, you know, especially like in the last episode, right? When the old school Loki does what he does, you would think that's kind of crazy. Why would he do that? Except that's what a Loki would do.
Right. Take all that glory, like pray, like your savior. That was like that. Like I remember him doing that in Ragnarok, where he set himself up to be the savior. You know, from the very beginning, masquerading as Odin and putting on this skit. And even at the end of the movie where he comes with that big ship, your savior has arrived. So I get that. I understood that. And that kind of brings me to episode 5. Now, for me, episode 5 was probably the most fun. That one to me was like endgame level of intrigue by just looking at all the different Easter eggs and all the different comic reference like scattered throughout the entire episode. What you guys thought of that?
Once again, I actually go ahead, Legend. I'm talking about. Go ahead.
Yeah, he looked like he coming with some bad fire. I loved it. Like I said, I watched it probably like 3 or 4 times because when you told me about the Living Tribune's head, I'm like, what? Where? So I went back to look for everything I could find, and it's quite a lot. It was quite a lot. It was amazing. Like I said, the dog being in there, the frog Thor.
Ridiculous.
Amazing. Yeah, at first I thought that was a regular Thor just jumping around. And I'm looking like, wait, he's green. It's like it was amazing episode.
I missed all that. I was so deep in the story moving along that I missed all of that. So like I'm listening to you guys and I'm like, yo, I gotta go back and watch this because I clearly was so focused on this dialogue. So knowing that those things are in there and knowing that they gave you, again, this setup, this build up, this interaction and exposure of Loki's. I mean, to me, my favorite scene was what happened in the hideout. Like I just absolutely love that. And watching our Loki look at himself go, this is why we never get this right here is why we can never be great. Like right here. And to see that and knowing that you have these different variants fighting, and they're all Lokis, right? They're all Lokis.
Yeah, all Lokis
fighting themselves. I thought that was awesome. It's a wonderful episode.
One of the biggest speculations that's out here right now is who is in that castle. Mm-hmm. When they get through, what was it? What was the name of that big creature?
Elias.
Yeah. When they get past that creature, and they see that cloud open up, and you see this castle or this hut. Okay. There's a lot of speculations of who's sitting up in there.
Let me end all speculations, guys. I got this.
All right, go ahead.
I haven't got a theory right in the past 3 TV shows of Marvel yet, but this one I got right. So everything's been pointing at Kang. There's a lot of evidence pointing at Kang, but there's not going to be no Kang in this show, guys. And even in the comics, Alive is kind of like not the dog person or whatever, like the guard dog of Kang, but they hold different spaces around each other. That's true. But Marvel has a way of making little tweaks in the comics to make it more relevant for us. If we see Kang in episode 6, nobody is going to know who that is. Nobody's going to know what he is except for comic book people. So my speculation is it's going to be a Loki.
Okay.
Since the whole show has always been about Loki variants, it's going to be Loki. Same thing with WandaVision. We thought Mephisto was coming. It doesn't make sense to introduce a character 9 episodes in when he wasn't there the whole time. So that's why they kind of use Agatha Harkness as kind of like a villain before the reveal. I think they're going to do the same thing with this one. It's going to be like a Supreme Loki or something of that manner.
Okay. What you think colors everything?
I mean, I heard that today and I said that makes sense. The show was called Loki. I got three threads of thought running through me. The first is we know that this will set up the multiverse of madness. We know that. And
Yes.
in fact, there's speculation that Loki will actually be in support or working with the Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange as their magicians. Loose word. So for me, I think that's the biggest issue. Like that's saying, all right, this is going to set up. We know at the end of this, we're just going to have anyone do what they want in multiple branches of time. Just keep branching off. That's the first thread of thought that is just there. The second is who is powerful enough to control time. Like at the end of this is about like control. Like whoever this is, set up the TVA, pull in variants in multiple places, and is focused on getting a specific and singular outcome and protecting that. Who's powerful enough to do that? I already told y'all. I actually think it's a Watcher. I think they have pushed us far enough out that there's one Watcher that got tired enough of just watching and said, well, what if we can try to avoid these cataclysmic events and organize a specific outcome? And so therefore you get like a variant Watcher who's doing all this. And then my final thought is, honestly, I think it could be a Loki. But that one blows my mind because then what's your purpose? Right? So that you maintain, you be the top, like what's the end outcome? Because why make the TVA?
Yeah. My pushback on just the Watcher speculation that you just put out is if it was a Watcher that did all of this, it goes against the very nature of the Watchers. And we know that.
That's my point. I actually think that's the reason would be like a Kang. Like, what if Kang in the Marvel Universe was a Watcher who got tired of just watching? Right.
It would have to, you would have to set it up, but to I Am Legend's point, to introduce that level of character in this type of arena will be a little difficult to do. Like just like with Thanos, they didn't reveal who Thanos was until Infinity War. Really, we only saw snippets of who he was. And I'm sorry. Let me take that back. In Guardians of the Galaxy,
it was still snippets. It wasn't. He didn't get that.
But they mentioned his name. They mentioned who he was, and they had a whole dialogue with him. So you got that gravitas of, oh, this is the villain of this movie, but then he's answering to a bigger villain, and this is the same guy from the first Avengers. So that's how, at least that's how the old Marvel introduced these characters. Now we're dealing with we're dealing with a new Marvel now. Now this is the Marvel that this is post Endgame success. So are they in the place where, hey, we can introduce these major characters and not have to give a background for them because people are just going to look it up anyway. That's why I feel as though they've been trolling us with all of the Mephisto stuff because they knew that we would just gravitate to that and then be like, oh yeah, my name is what was it? My name is
Ralph Boner.
My name is Ralph. Straight trolling us. So honestly, I think it might be a Loki.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think it might be like the very nature of Loki, and it is a Loki. But then, how do you tie that into
the one Loki that was able to control it, to finally get his dream, to ultimately
be the Loki,
the winner?
Well, we're thinking that the sacred timeline is the only universe. We don't. Well, like I said, I'm not even too sure if I think the multiverse is already here. I think there's already a multiverse. I think what they're doing with the TVA and the sacred timeline is, like I said before, they're trying to find other Lokis, other variants of Lokis to kill them off, because this Loki who created the TVA, which I'm thinking, that's just my theory, he doesn't want him to lose power to another Loki or something like that. That's my line of thinking. Because only reason why I say that because of Sylvie's story, like she got taken when she was 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah.
How does a variant last 7 to 8 years and then they prune that timeline? It seemed like when they showed the pictures of the secret timeline and the little branch going up, it seemed like the branch would have been past the red marker a long time ago. When she was born.
Wait, for Sylvie?
Yeah.
No, I don't think that's how it works. The moment that they took her out of it, they pruned the rest of that timeline. So as long as it doesn't reach the red line, they're good.
At least as if she doesn't exist almost.
Exactly. So I actually like the first part of your theory, I think, is solid. The reason I don't think the multiverse exists yet is because of that. I think I'm liking where you're going. So this Loki realizes that, like, to be the greatest Loki, there need to be less Lokis that branch off, right? The more that they branch off, maybe the less power I have, the less ability I do. So let me collect them and ultimately get rid of them. Here's the thing, though.
Go ahead.
He has to keep focused on this singular timeline and has to keep, playing around with it. So I think once our Lokis meet and they'll realize, like, this is not what we do, right? Ultimate control is not to have control. It's that actually to allow chaos to exist. And then we're just going to see branches left and right, like just all over the place. And that we got that reinforced. And I was just actually watching Endgame, right? And this is why the previous Sorcerer Supreme was like, no, you got to bring it back right here, because if you not, life goes left.
That's a branch that goes off.
We can't have life going left. And so I think the multiverse will do that. And I think, in our private chat, I was talking about, and I think that's how we'll get an explanation for there being multiple Spider-Men. And there'll be all these different things. We'll get a different Iron Man and all these different things, because now it's like Marvel can say, well, our Tony, Robert Downey, is dead, but here's this other Tony who could be a completely different actor, younger, and still be Iron Man. And we won't necessarily be like, oh, it's not Robert Downey. No, it's not, because it's
because now we have a multiverse. And I think what Marvel is doing is what they do masterfully is they have a long-term story that they're brewing, that they're building, and they're creating these different stories to kind of get us all on that page. So when we get to that mark, we're not surprised by any of this because they've been lining it up. Loki reminds me so much of the Jet Li movie, The One. Now that movie that movie made so much sense to me because you have the same character in all these different universes, and then you got the one guy that's trying to kill off all of his doppelgangers so that he could be the most powerful. And it just so happens that all these Lokis are in this place after they get pruned, where they're being chased by a monster, and the monster's job is to destroy them. So to me, it makes so much sense that it would be that Loki that's just created the TVA to search out all of these different variants of Lokis, put them in one place, just kill them while they're there, so that I can just be the ultimate Loki. It makes the most sense. But then I'm stuck with, if that's there, then how do we end this episode and lead into the next movie or the next series of events?
Just chaos. I think it'll be chaos. And I can easily see Doctor Strange having now, talked to Scarlet Witch a little bit, showing up when all things are said and done and looking at Loki and go, like, I want to trap you. Like, what I'm saying? Like, Doctor Strange put him in some place and it's like, I don't know what to do with you. Right? Like, you've actually in thinking that, and he's like, well,
you made things worse.
And I can see, how like Doctor Strange's character is in this universe. He's like, because now I have to go and fix it because Scarlet Witch now can hear her children. Right? Like every time a universe branches off, she hears them and they die again. And so her motivation in his movie is to get her kids back. Loki's motivation in this movie is kind of just to maintain some level of chaos. So he'll be him, right? He'll be untrustworthy and be trusted to do so. Right. And then Doctor Strange's whole goal is to somehow manage to not allow Suma Garoth to eat up everything while trying to stitch this universes or this chaos back together. That's my thought. And I think he'll actually show up. I think Doctor Strange will actually show up in this last episode.
Nah.
Do you feel that at this point with Marvel, I feel as though that even though the Multiverse of Madness is coming out, I don't think that's going to solve anything. I think we're just going to have literally a multiverse of madness, and that's going to just be the rest of the timeline in this universe. Because we left such a large event with Infinity War that at this point you have to do something to literally merge all these different universes that's coming back over to the Marvel studio. You got to merge in Fox. You got to merge in Sony. You got to merge in all these different universes. I feel as though that this is just an introduction to what's going to be the norm for Marvel going forward.
So you thinking that the X-Men will probably still be in their own universe? They probably won't. They may cross over time to time, but they're not going to be considered in the Sacred Timeline universe.
I think that's going to be the case.
I actually go ahead, Legend. My bad.
I was going to say that actually makes a lot of sense. I think what Marvel is good at doing, because even if they're showing it with this Loki TV series, is they taking the comic lines, like comic book stories, and they simplifying for everybody to understand. Because like this real comic line between the Timekeepers and Kang and stuff like that is confusing. Like,
it is.
Like we got the time twisters and all that other stuff. Is like it's really confusing when you try to add all the entities in it. And I think that's probably why Marvel has stayed away from the whole entities being added so far. Is just to keep everything as basic as possible as they possibly can.
I see something similar. I wouldn't be surprised though if there are elements that we're going to mash together and we'll get some type of secret war. So I agree that the multiverse will just stay. I think again the whole point of this is that there will be continually branching paths, and ultimately Doctor Strange will maybe open a studio or academy that actually is meant to manage these variants, like these truly devious branches. So like if a branch just has a different Spider-Man, you're good. You can stay, keep somebody to protect you. But if it's a zombie land, like it'll be his job and people with him to close it. The X-Men thing, though, I do think we will get some merging or some of them being in our timeline, because this is what Marvel has done better than anyone else. They know the fans want crossovers. Yeah. We want to see Wolverine right next to Cap fighting. Like I have been waiting for some flashback where Logan Howlett, James Howlett, is in the military, popping claws, working on a secret mission with Captain America. That's what I've been waiting for. Nothing else matters to me.
I'm actually waiting for Wolverine versus Hulk myself.
Get out of town. Get out of town. We not seeing that.
It's gonna be hard to see that now, man. The way that they got the Hulk, man, it's gonna be hard to see that.
But
now.
I can easily see an X-Men versus Avengers movie. Briefly.
Yeah.
And that could be wild.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the possibilities are literally endless. I mean, Marvel Studio has done a superb job, knowing that their property is in different places. They bide their time. They slow rolled what they were doing. Mickey Mouse came and brought them, gave them that pocket, and then boom, they exploded. Gosh. So now
She-Hulk, Miss Marvel. I mean, they're pulling from stuff where we can get movies across platforms, which is why my mind is blown. Like Young Avengers, for example, doesn't have to be a big movie. It could be a Disney Plus series, and we'd be happy because they got the pockets and budget for it.
And they're already introducing the characters for it as well. They're smart, and that's what you got to do. You just got to put certain characters in, and us as comic fans, we're gonna be like, well, who is this person? We look it up. Oh snap! We're getting this. We don't know when we're getting it, but we know it's coming down the pipe.
We're getting it.
Whew. So let me steer this conversation off of Marvel Studio for just a second. But we're still in the realm of Marvel. We're still in the realm of Marvel because when it comes to Spider-Man, now Spider-Man Far From Home, we still have Venom and we still have Carnage doing their thing out there. So at some point, there needs to be some type of crossover with that property as well. Because technically,
does there need to be some type of crossover?
There doesn't need to be. But
they're a different universe, man. They could be with Morbius over there. It's fine. They don't have to.
And Craven the Hunter and all these other like.
Now that's one thing I am mad about is Craven. Like Craven need to come to the MCU, man. That's one of my favorite Spider-Man villains. And
but here's the thing. I'm thinking with the multiverse of madness. I'm leaning more heavy on the side that the universe of Carnage and Venom is not going to have Tom Holland. Now
we'll have some other Spider-Man.
That's what I'm thinking.
You know what I wanted? There's no grounding for this whatsoever. This is purely hope. I actually am willing to see Tom Holland to the Carnage Venom if they give us Miles. This is the one time I want diversity and inclusion to lean heavily on somebody's heart and pocket. Give them the white Tom Holland. I love it. Tom Holland, if you come across this in some chance in the stream, I genuinely like you, Kat. Like you from England. I love it. Like truly, like part of my home. That's my people's from over there. That's real talk. But Miles, give us a hip hop black Spider-Man.
They're not getting rid of Miles. Sony's not doing that.
Yeah, they're not giving that.
So now let's flip it. Now I know that's my heart, but I can see them then saying, right, in this next movie, somehow introduce Miles and they keep Miles for the Venom Carnage. So MCU keeps Tom, they get Miles, and once again, we don't think it's weird because this multiverse just messed everything up, and so that Spider-Man can be there, and you can have that fight and crossover, and Tom Holland can be over here, and no one bats an eye at it. In fact, Toby's Spider-Man, mentors Miles and Venom, and they, all that other stuff. Just, I wish we could get Miles.
It's hard though, because like the first Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland, we had Miles Morales' uncle in the movie. So, granted, he said, "Yo, I got a nephew." They said he was like,
"Oh, that's right,
yeah."
Got it.
I got a nephew that lives out here. I mean, they dropped those. Listen, Marvel, they dropped those little seeds, and you got to hold on to those seeds because it's going to grow. You know what I mean? So, I'm thinking, to be quite honest, that we might get a Tobey Maguire as an old, grizzled Spider-Man for the Sony universe.
I like it. I'll take it.
I would too.
Because I don't like Tobey Maguire. I
actually prefer Andrew. I can take.
I prefer Andrew too.
Young enough.
I just feel as though that they're leaning on nostalgia, and they're bringing back all these characters. J. Jonah Jameson. They brought that character back. For them to even consider doing that, it could be possible. It could be possible.
But if you think about now, Sony looking to make money, I don't know what Andrew's been doing with his acting career. I don't know if he's at a point where just looking for coins or like the character. But in terms of an Andrew versus what's the guy, the actor that plays Venom, I can see them playing off each other a little bit.
Tom Hardy.
Yeah,
Tom Hardy. I could see that dynamic, right?
I can see that too.
You give him, he's a young adult. He's like the Spider-Man from the PS4 games. Like I can see Andrew playing that Spider-Man. He's settled, past college, trying to live life, do whatever.
Right.
Now also dealing with a Venom who is still an anti-hero. Like I will eat your head.
He's not an anti-hero. He's just a straight hero. He didn't get no villain.
Heroes don't eat. Heroes don't eat the good guys though.
Upset, man.
Like I've been watching the cartoons, so I've been going back watching the Spider-Man cartoons and stuff like that. So I'm at the episode where Carnage is made and everything like that, and Spider-Man and Venom, they working together to stop Carnage. That's the dynamic. That's the story. I don't know what kind of story they're going to tell for this movie.
Yeah, but what happened before that, though? Before that, Venom was given the business of Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's the part I want to see.
Carnage came in and changed all that.
Yeah.
Spectacular Spider-Man is hands down to me one of the greatest, not only animated and drawn, but storytelling, because the Venom inside that also took business to Spider-Man. And we really got deep story. I think that's a dynamic that we all love.
Yeah.
But now I'm gonna be the therapist that I am. We have to let go of that expectation. Sony can't do that.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
No, the only way for them to be able to do that is for them to hold on to Spider-Man, and because they like the coins that they're getting in the split venture, they need their own hero. And for right now, that has to be Venom.
That's true.
Now, what we love, because I like Venom now in the comic books, who is again straight up anti-hero, but I would have loved to have seen that journey from him being pure antagonist, to. I get it. We can do things a little differently. You know what I mean? Like, I would have loved to see that journey, but Sony can't afford to do that. They just can't.
So I'm gonna come out of this universe and go back to the MCU to finish up our conversation. See, I told you, man, we was gonna end on a high note.
Oh, feel better.
Yeah.
So Shang-Chi, I haven't had a chance to talk to you guys about that last trailer of Shang-Chi, which potentially could have been, I don't know if it's Wong or not, but it's Wong or one of the sorcerers
and
versus Abomination.
It's Wong.
When I saw that, I was like, this is what I have been waiting for close to 10 years. After seeing Incredible Hulk, one of my favorites, and seeing like, all right, Abomination is still alive. What's going on with that? And then we finally see him. He's back. I want to know the story. I want to know why you here. Why y'all fighting in this cage dome? What's going on here? What y'all think about that?
And I want to know why. Like, is he being controlled now, or is he like calmed down or something? Because only person that can stop him is a Hulk. So,
something just hit me, legend.
Go ahead.
But go ahead. I'll let you take it away. What
I don't
I
want you
think-
to lose it. I don't
what
want you
I-
to lose it.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I got it. No,
All
no.
right, go. All right.
So pretty much, I think what they're fighting for is for the power of the rings that the Mandarin has, those bracelets, whatever. I think that's pretty much what the tournament is about. That's why the son is taking part of it, the daughter is taking part of it. Is I think the best fighter gets to like maybe get a ring or get more than one ring. I'm not too sure. I think it's something like that, and that's the reason why they're fighting. I think they like all the organizations putting their people in. I think maybe Thunderbolt Ross is like, "Hey, Abomination, go get these rings, get that power." Sorcerer Supreme like, "Yo, Wong, hey, go fight in this tournament, get that power. You may need it," and that's why they're there.
All right.
I agree, and I was going to say, I wouldn't be surprised if the similar end credit scene that happened in Black Widow happened in Shang-Chi with that same character.
It already happened. They're working for the same people.
You see what I'm saying? Like I can see that particular person
They're working for the
at
same
the,
people.
at the end of that particular cage match scene,
Yeah.
going, maybe you need to do things a little differently and come for me. Oh, do you feel some type of way because you don't know what we're talking about?
Oh, you want us to slow down?
I'm sorry. Okay, let's go back to Shang-Chi on the
Okay, yeah, let's go.
So Shang-Chi has me because, again, subgenres. Like if we get a pure martial arts movie, not pure martial arts, but we get a movie that has martial arts elements, that's fire to me.
Yeah.
Right? Like I want to see some dope hand-to-hand combat. I want to see good string work and all of that, and then still give me those fans, because I actually think the way they have the rings makes sense. All right.
Yeah.
You already got a lot of outworldly things, and even though it seems that they're going to still have some outwardly elements. I mean, we saw giant lions eating people, so that's going to happen, But the way it is and how he's controlling the power, like that one scene where him and his father had it, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that better be at least a 5-minute fight scene. Give me nothing less.
I'm looking for the same thing, man. I'm looking for some outstanding work. I mean, Marvel has stepped their game up when it comes to the hand-to-hand combat. It seems like every movie. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to knowing why those characters were fighting. I'm looking forward to seeing why y'all believe this mysterious character, which I'm pretty sure I already know who he is now. But why this character is showing up and what they're
exactly. I know you don't know because of the statement that you made. So I know you don't know. But it's cool.
I tried.
You try to join along. Nah.
Well, you know what? Listen. On that note, we are going to bid farewell. I do want you guys back because I do want to talk about the end of Loki. Loki episode 6 comes out this
Wednesday.
Yep. And I definitely want to talk about the ending and see how that went and kind of go from there. So covers everything. Where can people find you, brother?
Find me on IG. Color is everything. I'm excited, and also come back and watch that comic show, man. You gonna see us get on Sam's for being a week late to the party. Watch next week.
Great, wonderful setup for next week. I Am Legend.
Find me on IG. I Am Legend, and my theory is gonna prove correct this Wednesday. So
bold statement.
I might wear a top hat next Sunday.
Bold statement.
We'll see.
This one I'm gonna get right. This one I'm gonna get right.
All right. And once again, you can find me, Sam's Brego. You can find us, That Comic Show, on YouTube and on IG. Once again, thank you, brothers, for joining me tonight. Thank you for kicking me while I was down. I appreciate it. I expect nothing less. So y'all brought the heat. So I appreciate that. All right. Everybody take care. Until next time, we'll see y'all.
All right, y'all.